Mars CGI ball. Preparing for landing. Is it even possible to land on this thing? Thrust and combustion aren't even possible in a vacuum. Is this a Disney movie or something? Ridley Scott? Guys? Hello?
Hey everybody, ODD here. This will be a quicker and cleaner version of the video that I made last night. So let's jump right in. There is an island in Canada called Devon Island, and this place is home to the Houghton Mars project. It's no secret. In September of 2015, Jeranism made a video about this, and it caught my attention, and it made me think a lot. Though I was interested, I still thought to myself that of course they have to have a simulated Mars environment to train in. Why wouldn't they? It's not that weird, right? But since that time, I've learned a whole lot more about the idea of space travel, vacuums, non-vacuums, and how thrust and combustion are impossible in a vacuum. Therefore, space travel is a hoax. Let me show you what I mean with two scientific experiments that were conducted in a vacuum chamber. I'll link these videos in the description, all credit to Cody's lab. This first video proves that thrust is not possible in a vacuum.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Cody's lab. So as you can see, we're using the vacuum chamber once again, and I actually have a little feather right there, as you can see, suspended in front of a 12-volt electric fan. See, I got the batteries, a pressure gauge, and everything in there. To turn it on, I have a little tilt switch that says magnetically controlled. You can see when I turn the fan on, it blows the feather all over the place. This is, of course, at atmospheric pressure right now. So, I want to take this down to Martian conditions. You might have noticed the Martian reference over there. First thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of dry ice to the chamber, just so that the atmosphere gets replaced with CO2. Many of you guys were complaining about that last time. So now I should have a CO2 atmosphere, or at least it'll create one. And now we're going to suck out all of the air, or at least most of it, down to the point where about between 4 to 6 millimeters of mercury, which is of course the pressure on the surface of Mars. So let's plug in the vacuum pump. There we go. Give this a little while to suck down. These pieces of CO2 look really interesting in the vacuum. The gas produced causes them to levitate and float all over the place. But if you can see the gauge over there, you can see that the air pressure is just about to the point where would be considered the surface of Mars. So since we're at Martian air pressure, let's unplug the vacuum pump and let's turn on this fan. Place your bets as to what's going to happen to this feather. Now the fan's only going to produce maybe 10 miles per hour worth of wind. On the surface of Mars, the fastest recorded wind speed is about 70 miles an hour. But let's say the superstorm in the Martian had wind speeds of 200 miles an hour, 20 times what we have here. To compensate for that, I imagine the feather is about 20 times easier to push over than a spaceship. So let's see what happens. Okay, fan's on. And the feather's not moving. In fact, let's zoom in on that.
This second experiment proves that combustion is not possible in a vacuum.
So how about something that has its own oxidizer, such as gunpowder? See, this is a mixture of charcoal, sulfur, and potassium nitrate. When heated, the potassium nitrate gives off oxygen, which the sulfur and charcoal uses to burn. So I've got a little bit sitting in there. Let's apply the laser goggles, and let's light it off. First in the atmosphere, and then in the vacuum. Okay, Okay, as you can see, it produced lots of smoke and burned rather quickly. Most of the air is now gone. Let's see what happens. The gunpowder did not ignite. I saw some smoke coming off of it, so I know it burned a little. Let's try again more in the center of the pile. And that's it. The gunpowder does not burn. And so I'm going to be burning some rocket candy. This is a mixture of sugar, potassium nitrate, and iron oxide. This is used in amateur rockets because the ingredients are readily available and the amount of thrust it produces is quite high. So let's light this on fire and see how it does. So this is in Earth atmosphere. As you can see, it burns rather rapidly, producing a little bit of thrust even. As you can see towards the end, it moved it around. So now let's try it inside of a vacuum. No ignition. That's interesting. I did see some little poofs as it tried to burn, but it was unable to sustain itself. So even when it's in one solid piece, it can't chain and continue burning. So I've let a little bit more air back into the chamber. Let's see if it'll burn now. That's a no-go on burn. Wait. It's kind of smoldering. And it's out. Acetone peroxide in the atmosphere in 3, 2, 1. Yes, that's a little bit more volatile than gunpowder is. Acetone peroxide in vacuum in 3, 2, 1. It still didn't burn.
So essentially, what we have here is solid evidence that space travel is fake. Therefore, the Mars rover is a complete hoax. And this Mars simulated environment on Devon Island is where they fake Mars rover footage and where they will fake all future Mars footage. I mean, they could fake this anywhere really, Greenland, Nevada, or even other remote islands such as Devon Island. But since the Houghton Mars project is public knowledge, we have a good lead here. Since at least the 1950s, going to Mars has been a common theme in movies, TV shows, and cartoons and whatnot. And what these movies are doing are conditioning us to believe that a trip to Mars is viable, which it isn't. We are merely being programmed to buy into the hoax when the time comes. Stay on your toes and keep a good spotlight on these liars. We need to watch everything they do like a hawk. This has been ODD. Thanks for watching.